Good day, everyone. My name is Adam. I'm with MQN Architects. I'm a project manager, and this is an introduction video for those who have never used it, software service called rForm. It's a construction administration platform where all project stakeholders can have access to the same project information as opposed to what was traditionally done historically in construction management, where every stakeholder would have their own records and they would coordinate and share and update their records with the other project stakeholders to varying degrees of success. And so I think there's a number of solutions out there, and one of them is rForm, which is a purchased cloud-based website that you go to. And so I will begin at the beginning, and the service for this project is accessed through this URL, which will be sent if you're added to a project. And then you log in as normal. And if there's multiple projects that you are assigned to or you have access to, they would appear at the very first page. We're obviously interested in just one particular project for this discussion, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. This first page is your project summary page, which gives you an overall view of where the project pricing is at and any modifications to the contract amount that have occurred through time due to change orders or change directives, as well as a summary of certificates of payments that have been issued, certified and issued, and any the count of supplemental instructions and requests for information. At the end of a project, there'll be a download of a copy of this website that is saved as its own standalone website that's saved locally on your computer, and it can be shared around to the project stakeholders. Well, currently, right now, the initial contract value is set to $1 because we don't have a contract price. Some projects you do, some projects you don't, and so when information does become available, then it's a simple matter to just edit the project details, and we can append the base information here for tracking further on into the project. The next tab that we'll go over controls information flow in and out with regards to changes to the contract that have time or money modifications, such as change directives. Another sub-tab for supplemental instructions and clarifications, requests for information, and then the last two tabs are for the schedule of values of the project used to track and validate payment certifications, or used to quantify payment certifications. So first, just as an example, in here we already have an initial change directive. As the project develops, there'll be additional change orders, proposed change orders, and change directives all listed down in here, but obviously we just have the single one. And you can just click on every one and you can see the cover sheet that gets attached to it, and as well as a description and some logic behind it. You can also print the change order or site instruction or RFI as a PDF for offline use. And we can see here, because this is a change directive or a change order, there's actually signature locations that can be integrated into the documentation to indicate for historic purposes how the proposed change notice has been converted into a change order after the owner and contractor have signed. On every change order or site instruction or RFI, there's a comments and history ticker that keeps going. And so sometimes there'll want to be a discussion before there's a formal issuance of a change order. And if you're a stakeholder who has an opinion or some type of comment, you can click on the add comment, and you can simply add in whatever language you want to communicate, or add any files that you wish to add to supplement your discussion. And you can notify individual project stakeholders or all project stakeholders of your particular query. And then I'll just go back. So the formatting that's done in the Change Directives tab is also reflected in supplemental instructions and requests for information. The schedule of values and the certificates of payment are different given the nature of what they do in terms of the project form. Currently, there's no schedule of values for the different disciplines of work, but it's just a matter of adding new line items as submitted by the contractor for the work description, specification ID, and then whatever the price is. Once the schedule of values has been inputted, then payments, the certificates of payments can begin to be filled out with the monthly progress claim that the contractor sends to the prime consultant. And we can attach their PDF file or image file that they send, so that way that can also be tracked for historical purposes. I should also mention that there's always watch videos, helpful videos from rForm throughout all of the different tabs. Project files is where we can have an archive of the IFT and IFC documentation, as well as folders for any field reviews that may want to occur, or site photos that also want to occur for all project stakeholders to have access to. Submittals is where shop drawing submittals are presented to the project team. And so the contractor can create a new submittal with a description, a specification ID number, and as well as a description, a narrative of each individual item, and then any attachment that they receive from their subtrades. If there's a physical submission for a paint sample, as an example, they can indicate the quantity and description that was provided also. The next tab over in submittals is transmittals, where you can use this form to create a memo cover letter for physical samples that have been issued, or some type of documentation that can't reside in a digital format. Project team is where all the different project stakeholders reside, and they're compartmentalized into the different disciplines of the project team. We have the prime consultants here, the ownership side, the contractors side, and then the sub-consultants side here, each with their own varying abilities and restrictions on things they can or cannot do in rForm. And so for our particular project, here it is here. I'll just go back to the main projects page because it may be useful to see an example project that's more that has more information already in here, so we can see kind of some of the granulars, the specifics. So let's just go and pick one here. Let's do the X School Elementary Edition, which again has a full proper number for the amount. We can see here that the change orders that have occurred through time are summarized here with regards to their effect on the project price. In project forms, when we go into the change directives, we see the chronological history of all the change directives. as well as a status of where they are in completion, who they are awaiting for on status. So this particular one is awaiting a quote, and this particular one is awaiting the owner's approval. At the title description, who generated the initial request for this change order, when it was issued, and when it was accepted. If a quote has been provided, there's a check mark, and then the effect of the number of days that this particular change order has on the total contract time, and then a quick summary of the amount. And of course, you can click on any particular one, and we can see here that the prime consultant has accepted this change order, and now we're waiting on the owner to accept it. So currently this title is a PCO for proposed change order. As soon as the owner accepts the button, then this will become a change order. Scrolling down, we can see here the history of comments from when it was originally created to when it was issued to the contractor, to when there was quotes or information attached to it, and any comments. Let's go, let's stay back on here and go into the schedule of values. And we can see that on this particular project, we have ID numbers, the description of work, and the cost valuation, and current progress to date, and whatever remaining balance is left on that scope of work. Over into certificates of payments, we see the history of the certificate of payments and if it's been removed or certified. And then we can see a drill down in the certification summary, standard to construction industry practices, as well as a breakdown for each of the schedule of value items, what the progress to date is by percentage and by value compared to the previous claim and this claim, and balance to complete. And then of course there will be the attachment for the certificate of payment from the contractor. And submittals, we can see as opposed to SD for shop drawings, submittals are indicated as SX. We can see what discipline, specification number, description for each individual item in this summary list, when it was received by the contractor. And then we can see the flow of each individual shop drawing as it occurs through time, through the different consultants, to identify any bottlenecks that may occur. In this particular project, the entering or the logging of dates for each individual shop drawing has been inconsistent. And we can see here that for this shop drawing, even though it was reviewed as noted as a summary action, the log dates was not completed. It's always good form to log those dates as the prime consultant working on it. So that way it's easy to see when it was sent to a consultant, when it was returned from the consultant to the prime consultant, and when it was returned from the contractor and then finally received by the contractor. So there's a whole chronological history. On each individual shop drawing, of course, you can click on it, and much like the change order example, we have this common header, as well as we can see the actual initial attachment, and then finally the reviewer's notes. In this particular example, a resubmit was required. And again, the history on that particular item. So I think that's kind of the summary that I wanted to give. I'm going to end the recording now, so that way any specific questions that these project stakeholders have can be asked. But thank you for watching, and I hope this has been informative.